the gun. Manning lets it fly. It's caught by Thomas. There's the record for Peyton Manning.
Well, heidi ho there, everybody, and what a wonderful Halloween day. What is that? Okay, well, so I just want to let everyone know that he did not have that on when I hit the intro video. That is not what he had on. So you put in the effort of putting that on within a minute and 45 seconds.
I mean, I could be Teddy One Glove. I could be Hamburger Helper. It could help you make a great meal, you know.
Oh, that's what that is. I was trying to figure out what it was.
I don't know why they call it Hamburger Helper, Clark. It's just fine by itself.
I mean... Oh, man. Well, anyways, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Neighborhood, the pregame show on the MHRT Network. We stream an hour before every, hour and a half before every Broncos game, whether that's a morning game, an afternoon game, an evening game, a Monday game, or a Thursday game. Make sure that you are liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, notificationing, all that kind of stuff on our YouTube page, where we go live, and our Facebook page, and our Twitter page, and our Twitch page. And also go to search MHRT Network on Apple Podcasts. Give us a review and a rating, but only if it's 5-star. Otherwise, don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to waiting on Prophet, see if he jumps on here. We're going to go through some quick updates here around the NFL. Carolina is beating Atlanta 12-10. Buffalo and Miami are tied at 3. The Niners are losing 15-16 to the Bears. Cleveland is up 10-9 on the Steelers. Philly is kicking the snot out of the the Lions, 31-0. The Rams are up 31-0 on Houston. Tennessee's beating Indiana 21-17, and Cincinnati is beating the Jets 17-14. Before we jumped on here, we were talking about the Green Bay Arizona game. That was a really, really, really good game.
Well, for everyone but AJ Green.
The memes out of that game, though.
Oh, the Rodgers meme.
So great.
So good.
So great. Avatar, what's up, Broncos country? Johnny Baki, you don't count because you're not in here. Shadow Jacker, hello everyone. I feel this victory is upon us. Avatar, I'm sporting the Manning jersey. What's up, Broncos country? Let's beat the football team without a nickname. That works. Landon, hello everyone. Kevin Dandino from Orange Weekly, #winning. If we win, Glenn needs to wear that for every pregame show. My pure good luck charm.
It's a little warmer than I remember.
You gotta crank the AC.
It does fit like a glove, though.
EJ, if we can't get 25 points minimum against this sorry defense, I'm done. 49ers missed the extra point to tie it. Yeah, kickers are having a real problem today. I've seen there's been a lot of missed extra points field goals today. And the Steelers kicker has a concussion from the tried to run a sneak. It didn't work. Trick play. So let's dig into the Broncos and the Washington football team. Mm-hmm. We do know that as of now, Mike Purcell is the only one I believe that is out. And he's going to have Deshaun Williams.
Yeah.
Deshaun Williams filling in. We also know that. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
No Vaughn. When? When did that happen? Oh, that's not cool. And Reed now, is Reed playing? I know he was hurt. Is he in? So is it going to be Reed Cooper then?
It's got to be. Yeah. Who else?
I don't know if I like that. I don't like that. There's a link for everybody for that story. I'm trying to look and see where it says.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I'm on ESPN looking to see if it's updated here. I don't know. So
you know what's going to happen is there's going to be a speculation is that Vaughn's on the trading block because that's why he's inactive, because he's they're gonna trade him, which I do not see happening.
Well, and someone had asked Benjamin Albright, 50% chance over under 50% chance if Von Miller gets traded, and he goes under, like way less. It's not gonna happen. There's only a few teams that could even afford his contract.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I mean, he's owed $10 million still. It's just not happening.
Reed looks good. Reed is not on the inactives. Awesome. Look, right there. Right. Your stomach. Right there.
What?
Me thinks that means Von trade. No, shut up, Rich.
Where are you anyway?
Right.
So why don't we go over the inactives real quick? It's Brett Rippon, Deontay Spencer, which doesn't bother me one bit.
Who cares?
Kerry Vincent Jr., Jamar Johnson, Von Miller, and Mike Purcell all inactive today. So
that's sad. All right, so let's kick it over to the Mile High Prophet real quick here on the tailgate. Prophet, how's it going? Prophet, how we doing?
I'm having audio problems again. Sorry. Tell you what, guys, I'm just going to talk for a minute here. We are here live at the Fired Up Tailgate, just outside of lovely Mile High Stadium on this lovely overcast day here, Halloween day in Denver. We've had quite a few people come through today. Quite a few Ninth Amendment violators. That means that there's a lot of Redskins fans here, but they've been very nice, very respectful. See if I can find a few of them. Well, here's a couple of Redskins fans, or pardon me, the football team fans over here. Here's some nice football team fans over here. We're live on the Mile High Roundtable podcast. But we've been having a good time. I got to tell you that none of the football team fans are particularly confident on their prospects today. I think we're looking at the return of Jerry Jeudy. My understanding is that Von Miller is still questionable, or maybe he's already been ruled out. But that's what I know here. And one of these days, we're going to figure out how to get me a better microphone and headphones so that I can actually have a meaningful contribution to your show. But for now, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you gentlemen next week.
All right. Thanks, Prophet.
Thanks, Prophet.
So he was saying that the football team fans are not really confident in their team. Are we even confident in ours at the moment?
Yes. I'll tell you why.
See, look at Glassman's face.
Empty Glassman, we call him now.
Broken.
We have Jerry Jeudy. We have Albert O coming back. We've had 10 days off. We're home. We're playing a team that's not particularly solid. We have a lot of things in our favor right now. I mean, granted, no Vaughn, but we do have some inside linebacker help, which we're in a much better position inside-wise than we had been in the Cleveland game. So I feel confident today.
Yeah, and I do want to say, like, there are some intriguing situations that I want to see. For instance, I want to see how Williams and Draymond Jones do together, because I know that Mike Purcell has been struggling. I'm also interested, and I said it a lot on Thursday, I am also interested in seeing how Kenny Young is going to play. Is he going to be a full-time starter? Is he going to rotate? How much are we going to see of him? Even Stephen Weatherly, I'm kind of interested to see what he does. I don't think he's going to do much, but I don't know much about him either. So not sure about that one. And then the biggest one to me has to be Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I think one of the big reasons why Denver is so bad on third downs is because we haven't had Jerry Jeudy to throw the ball to. I mean, when you look at the first game against the Giants before he got hurt, on third downs, Denver was at 80% with Jerry Jeudy in there on converting third downs. And after he left, we've been at like 22%. So I'm not saying that that's like an every game thing, but Jerry Jeudy is definitely our third down weapon that we haven't had. So I'm interested to see how he's going to open that up as well.
He'll definitely make a difference. I mean, having him back, my confidence has grown throughout the week. I mean, at the start of the week, I didn't think we had a prayer. As the week has gone on, getting Jeudy back, getting Alberto back, I think that helps. I think the Teddy Jeudy connection will be welcome return.
Yeah.
Hard time though.
You know, one of the things Mike, you've said for a long time is that with Jeudy is he's almost guaranteed to be open for some period of time on every play, and that's one of the reasons why he and Teddy were looking to be such a good connection. And we don't have any other players that necessarily get open as quickly as Jeudy does. They can get open as plays develop, but Jerry is one of those that he can. I mean, even the NFL on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages were posting. They were posting Jerry highlights last night. So there's, of him doing his juke moves and so he's definitely one to watch. I mean, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing. As much as we love Cortland Sutton and we love Tim Patrick, they're basically the same type of receiver. They both are the possession receivers, the big receivers, the ones that can go out and get the ball, but they're not really the speedy, quick, hard cut, get open within the first 5 to 10 yards kind of receivers, which is what we've been missing since Judy's been out and since Hamler's been out. And while I'm not saying that, John Brown could have completely filled the role of KJ Hamler, I am a little upset that we let John Brown go instead of, keeping Tyree Cleveland down on the practice squad and moving John Brown up. I don't really understand that move. But at the same time, I'm not there seeing all the players practice every day. So I don't, maybe they saw something that we didn't.
He wanted to go, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Well,
if we would have put him if we would have let him be on the 53, he probably would have stuck around.
Yeah, and he wanted to be let go because we weren't going to move him up to the 53. And that's what I don't understand is why would you move Cleveland up but not John Brown? Because Cleveland is again another receiver, kind of like a Seth Williams, like a Tim Patrick, a Cortland Sutton, like a bigger receiver. Doesn't really have the speed, doesn't really get open. Whereas John Brown is that guy that can be the burner down the field.
It seems like he has a pattern of taking his ball and going home, which is kind of interesting because he did the same thing with the Raiders. But
who doesn't do that with the Raiders?
Oh, I know. It pains me that they're in the position they are. But
how dare you?
But
no, it's all good. No,
but
no,
who are we? This gives this. Even with the Spencer benching or inactiveness, he wasn't on any sort of injury report, so there's no injury to suggest that that's why he's being benched. Well, that gives Kendall Hinton more of an opportunity. He's listed on the depth chart.
So with Spencer being out, is that Tyree Cleveland is now returning, kind of like he did last year?
I think it's going to be Kendall Hinton, but John Brown doesn't. As far as I remember, he's not a big returner either. So, you got to keep the Seth Williamses of the world and the Tyree Clevelands of the world that do have the ability to jump in there and on special teams as well.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and grab some more of these comments, and then we'll hit the video, and then we'll go from there. Let's see here. Orange Weekly. It's Kevin. One of the worst teams in the league on third down to go yardage. That's not helping at all. And again, that's where I think that Jerry Jeudy's going to help out. Now this one is interesting. Jeremy Case says, as a Broncos fan, I hope we lose out the rest of the season. Better draft positioning.
Boy.
I mean, I will never give up on the Broncos. Like I hope they win out. Even if they did, I still don't think the coaches would stay around. But at this point, having watched college football and kind of paid attention to NFL scouts that are scouting and trying to build their draft boards, I'm not seeing a whole lot of players that are worth being that high up in the draft yet. But again, I never want the Broncos to draft that high.
I don't follow college football very closely at all, but I've heard about some super new, like 1 overall edge rusher that's coming. Does that ring a bell to you guys?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to take. Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's going to. He's with Oregon. I don't think anyone's going to get the number 1 pick from the Lions at this point for sure.
Well, maybe.
Who?
Well,
they're on the verge of 0-8, dude.
Texans.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's when it comes to the draft, you never want to draft for need. So I think that a lot of the needs that we're gonna have in the offseason are gonna be free agents. I honestly think that Denver is going to try to pull off a humongous quarterback trade in the offseason. By that I mean Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers or I don't even know if there's any other ones available. I don't think so. But like a big name like that. D-Dub. Watson?
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
A blockbuster.
That's not gonna happen.
That would be a disgusting blockbuster.
Benjamin Albright has already been. Benjamin Albright's already said multiple times not coming to Denver.
Tua?
See, and that's where things get interesting. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Tua, but at the same time, I don't think he's as bad as everyone thinks he is. But yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing for Locke. You could say the same thing for Jalen Hurts. You could say this, like, there's so many quarterbacks where you're like, I don't know. So I don't know. But yeah, I think that when it comes to the offseason, I think Denver's going to be free agent movers instead of trying to fill needs with the draft, because I don't even know what the draft is really going to look like. So,
do you think Peyton is willing to spend the capital it will take to get one of these upper echelon quarterbacks?
Yes. If I had my guess, Denver would not be going after Rodgers; they'd be going after Russell Wilson. Just because we know that he was upset with Seattle, he still is. He's having some issues with Seattle. I think that they would be more willing to let go of Russell Wilson because of the issues that they're having. I just don't know where they're going to go from Russell Wilson. So, I don't know. But let's watch this game preview between the Broncos and the football team, and then we'll go from there.
All right, sounds
good.
The
Washington football team heads west this week to line up against the Denver Broncos, who are still looking for a win against a team that has one.
End zone, pass picked.
Teddy Bridgewater was picked off once, and while he threw 2 TDs, he didn't make it to 200 yards, his yards per attempt under 6.
Bridgewater gets out of trouble for the moment and now just has to throw it away.
Bridgewater's numbers look solid enough for the season, but they haven't been good enough to snap the 4-game losing streak they're on, a streak that's seen Bridgewater's yards per attempt stay under 8 each game and only eclipsing 7 once, aka their O lacks explosiveness.
Spinning off and nothing there.
He also got sacked 2 more times, Denver giving up 3 sacks per game on average this season.
Bridgewater sacked.
You'd expect Teddy B to face plenty of heat in this game then. Washington's sack total might still be in the average zone, but they rank high in QB hits, have a solid pressure rate, and sacked Aaron Rodgers 3 times last week.
Immediately pressured and sacked.
Despite those sacks, despite the pressure they've been able to apply though, it hasn't translated to good pass defense, either last week or this year.
Adams is in! What a play!
So let's flip it around now. Washington's signal caller isn't really coming in with fire emojis either.
Heineke in trouble and sacked again!
Taylor Heineke got beat up by the Packers defense, getting sacked 4 times and hit 9.
He's gonna go down.
They also picked him off once, held him to a sub-90 rating.
To the end zone, picked off.
he at least managed to throw for a decent number of yards, a lot of them going to Terry McLaurin, who's the focal point of their offense.
Heineke lets it fly. McLaurin, end zone, touchdown.
He'll see if he can get open against a Denver defense that played Cleveland's B squad well enough when it came to the pass.
Pass is incomplete. Landry was wide open, but Keenum got hit.
And they've more than held their own against most QBs in 2021.
Keenum broken up.
Von Miller has 4.5 QB takedowns, but he's not getting much help from anyone else.
They get to him again. It's Von Miller.
And then there's the Broncos' rush defense, which didn't do much defending last week.
Johnson cuts back and touchdown.
But that was one of their worst showings against the run. They had been solid on this front prior to week 7.
And not that time. Carter is blown up.
Washington does have Antonio Gibson back there too, and he's plenty capable, but he's coming off a meh game.
Hands it off to Gibson, stacked up at the line and dropped, no gain.
Each of these teams seems to have 99 problems, and finding a win is the biggest one. Who do you say comes up with it? Lay it out in the comments section. We'll lay ours out on the screen. If you're having win problems, I feel bad for you, son. It could catch on, right?
So 6-4 on their picks. Denver, 6 people picked Denver, 4 picked Washington.
Why not? I mean, it seems we got home field advantage too, and it will be a full house.
And this is the thing that's so aggravating is like Denver should win against the teams that don't have a lot of wins, but there's only like 2 more teams, including Washington, where that's a thing. Like the Eagles and the Lions right now are the only 2 left that are upside down on their win-loss ratio.
Right.
And I don't want to end the season with another 5 or 6 wins. I would prefer more.
Of course. I mean, you prefer to be playoff caliber, certainly 9-8 at the very least. I mean, and I know I've said this over the course of the last few weeks and things have gone backwards, but we are 1 game away from being a 500 team. I mean, of course, when I was saying that, I'm like, guys, we're undefeated. Guys, we're 3-1. Guys, we're 3-2. Calm down, guys. We're still 3-3. So until we're 3-5, 3-7, I'm going to probably preach the same thing. But all is not lost. There's a lot of parity in the league right now, for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of the issues or the freakouts that Broncos country is having with Denver is just how bad we've looked in the losses. You know what I mean? You've got with Jewel out and with Alexander Johnson gone, you saw what happened against the Browns. We just got torched. It wasn't even close. I did like the move of benching Fuller and having Darby Callahan and Surtain out there. I will say that Surtain so far, I might even put him as the best corner on the roster right now. Like, the guy doesn't make mistakes. Like, he might flat out just get burned, but he doesn't make mistakes. And that's the biggest thing to what makes him so good. Like, there are quarterbacks that are literally not throwing his way because they know he's not going to make a mistake.
Right.
Callahan
is the same way. I mean, he's having an incredible season so far this year. So what do you think? Do you think that Fuller ends up getting traded for something late, or what do you late round pick, or do you think? He
doesn't have any value. Like when we were in the trade market for a corner, we were looking at Fuller, and we weren't the only team that was looking. Then he goes out there and he lays 2 or 3 stinkers for games, and now from what I'm seeing, there's really no interest in Fuller. Like we could probably maybe get a 7th, maybe, but it doesn't seem like there's any interest in him anymore.
Well, I think the Buccaneers could probably use somebody of his experience. I mean, they were pulling, Richard Sherman off of the scrap heap. He hadn't played any. He hadn't even, had any sort of games or any sort of training at that point that outside of what he did by himself. So, I could see that would probably be the number one team that could target a Fuller.
Yeah. So then my next question, and I know we're not going to know the answer until we see the game, but do you think that Williams in the middle instead of Purcell with Sternad and a rotation of Kaiser and Young is going to be better at stopping the run than last week against the Browns?
Yes.
There's
Dave with the wishful thinking for sure.
Better than last week. I mean, how could it not be better than last week? I mean, what's his name? Kenny Young.
Yeah, the
that's Mike's star of the game. Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
He's making tackles. What if he's a competent middle linebacker? I can't see how it wouldn't be better than last week.
And especially coming from the Rams and being the lead linebacker on the Rams and the leading tackler, you have to think that was a really good trade that I think is going to end up paying dividends for the Broncos. I think that was a great trade. Now, would I have rather we gone and gotten someone else? Maybe, but we have no idea what Kenny Young's going to look like. I mean, I didn't watch Rams games. I don't care about the Rams, so I don't know. Like, I can watch highlight videos, but I don't know.
We got a starting inside linebacker for a very late round pick years down the road. I mean, I don't think it could be a better trade. I mean, especially the timing of it all. I mean, we are in desperate need, and they helped us out. Unless the guy's going to be just a complete bust, but I can't imagine he was starting for one of the top defenses in the league. And isn't going to have some sort of a contribution. I mean, in terms of the running attack for Cleveland, I mean, if you didn't know what the expression like a hot knife through butter, meant, just watch that game where DeErnest was just putting his name on the map and embarrassing us and putting an end to our hopes for a 4-3 start.
Hi, Rich.
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Savior G says, why don't you cast games? I mean, comment like listening to you while watch the game. I
wouldn't be able to turn off the swear filter.
No, I'm sorry. This is a family show. That's just not happening.
Speaking of families, that's why I don't do it, because I am never not busy with children. So I don't have the time yet. Glenn, you want to do it?
That's kind of like a Mystery Science 3000 thing.
Plus, at the same time, Glenn and I are trying to find streams online to watch the game. How's it going, Rich?
That would be fun.
If you're looking for streams, just message me. I'll ping you back a couple.
No, I think we're good. But
no, we were just talking about the defense. It's been confirmed that Von Miller's out. So it looks like we're going to have Cooper and Reed, which I have no issues with Cooper. I wanted to see Cooper start anyways. But we also don't have Purcell. So it's going to be Williams in the middle with Jones on the end. I'm assuming that it's going to be Sternad and Young, but I don't know if they're going to rotate Young and Kaiser because he's only had like a week. Do we see the defense that way holding up better against the run than we did last week against the Browns?
No.
I hate you so much right now.
No, yes and no. I actually think that we might see fresher legs because I think Mike Purcell has regressed a little bit this year from what we've seen in the past. And I don't think that's a hot take in any way, shape, or form. And Johnny's not here to bring that little horn thing. So I think Mike Purcell has regressed a little bit this year, and I think it'd be really interesting to see some of the other guys we have in depth anyway. If we are unable to stop the run, I do think we're going to have a very difficult time winning this game because I think that Washington will stick with the run, unlike the Browns, who decided to kind of move away from it. And I think if they are successful, that'll be really, really difficult for us to come back.
Yeah. So we had talked basically all last week about Broncos country being up in arms about Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, which of course, we're back to this conversation again. And I think that there's some misconceptions. You look at a situation and you're like, well, that's that person's problem. But the problem is that you can't look at Teddy Bridgewater and blame everything on him. Like, there are certain things that are his fault. He's holding the ball too long. I get that. He's missing some open receivers, missing some reads. He's making it through his progressions, but it's almost like he's going through his progressions and then going back through them again. And it's like, no, just throw the ball. But then at the same time, it's poor play calling on the part of Pat Shurmur. So even if, and I said this on Thursday, even if Bridgewater plays bad this game, I still don't think that anything happens quarterback-wise or coaching-wise until the bye week, unless Teddy physically can't go. Kind of like he shouldn't have gone last week, but he did. Yeah. I don't think anything happens until we get closer to the bye.
I agree. I think for me, though, the one thing that we're not doing is we're not really helping Teddy out either. And that's on Shurmur, in my opinion. Like, for example, we have done okay with runs up the middle, but we've struggled the last few weeks against better defensive lines. So really, it's up to Shurmur to adjust his offensive game plan to try and bounce runs outside to force the run. I don't want to say force, but make the run work, to allow the other defense or force the other defense to change the way they're playing us. And unless you do that, you're going to get the same thing that we've had the last 3-4 games now, where the other team's able to rush 4 or 5 at most, and they're able to throw all the rest back into coverage. And that really prevents Teddy from getting those quick passes off, because then he is left attempting to wait for those long kind of wide receiver plays down the field to develop.
Yeah. Avatar says Bears just missed their extra point, 23-22 49ers. I just saw that. Justin Fields is not having a bad game. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I would have rather had Justin Fields at this point, because, like I said, Patrick Surtain, I think is I think Patrick Surtain right now is probably the best corner on the roster. Now, Callahan. I did say, and that was my other one was Callahan. I did say that I was kind of sad that we did not pick Parsons, but only because we have so many linebackers on injured reserve. If we still had Johnson and we still had Jewell, I would not want Parsons. So I personally would rather have PS2. I keep wanting to come up with things to talk about on the pregame show, but we talked about everything. There's not much to do until we start winning because we suck.
I got a question for all you guys.
What?
At what point do the Broncos start going into their depth to pulling them into starting roles, or at least including them more into games to see what we have and to see if we can develop? Where in the season do you guys think that is?
Bye.
I agree.
At the bye, or do you think we might do that if we lose this game sooner rather than later? And I'm interested to see what everyone has to think about that.
Well, me personally, I think it's, like I said, it's going to be like the next 3 games they're going to give a crap about and try to win just to try to keep us in contention. But if we lose these games, or 2 of them, I think that's when we go into the bye with replacing whoever needs to be replaced, trying depth, things like that. So I think once we get to the bye, then we'll figure out who's going to be filling in and whatnot.
I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, quite honestly. I mean, we're 10-7 at this point, probably makes the playoffs, and I know that only leaves us 3 more games in the remaining part of the season. But again, we're getting guys back. Chubb will be back for most likely the Eagles game. Vaughn likely will be back next week if he was potentially going to play this week and was benched. So, I mean, we don't know the Dak Prescott situation. I mean, he's a game time decision tonight. He's got a calf injury, and these calf injuries have been sidelining other players. It's been a pretty prominent type of injury in the NFL this year, and they've been sidelining a lot of players for a number of games. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he doesn't play tonight. what is the potential that he doesn't play against the Broncos? I mean, that would be interesting.
Hey, Glenn, you're too positive. You need to bring it down a little bit.
I've never been accused of that. It's easy to be positive with this bunch.
And I guess the other flip side to this is, if we lose this game, who do you think we get rid of first? And then after that, like who are the dominoes you think they were going to try to push at the door?
Get rid of as far as what? Like
Trade.
Players, trade, fire.
Trade.
What are we talking about?
Well, firing, I think is I think that a team is only going to fire one coach in season. So you're either going to fire your head coach, or you're going to ride with your head coach and you're going to try and make an offensive coordinator change in the Broncos case to see if you can add a spark, right? But I'm more referring to players. Given the fact that we would, I don't say mathematically out, but we are certainly in an unlikely scenario where we're going to make the playoffs if we lose this game. Who do you think we're going to move in advance of the trade deadline, if any?
I just don't know if there's anybody to move. Like that's my issue. Is like, obviously the big name would be Fuller, but at this point, who's going to want him? Like, he just put 3 stinkers of a game together and then got benched. Like, who's gonna want him? I mean, who else are we going to trade? Vaughn's not going anywhere. We're not going to trade any of the big names like Sutton or Patrick or Judy. Maybe Patrick, but I doubt it. Especially with him going to be a free agent in the offseason. What would he need to trade? Nobody's going to trade for him. Maybe Callahan. I've heard that name a couple times, but please don't.
No, he's the one guy I really want. I almost want us to re-sign him.
Yeah, well, and I would love to have Darby, Callahan, and Surtain. Like, those be our 3. That's fine.
Let's not forget, we still have Ojemudia and Bassi coming back on the cornerback side. So someone's going to give something for Fuller. The Broncos do want to get rid of him. I think that's going to be able to happen. Again, it's so early on. The trade deadline is so early in the season. How do you decide you're going to pull the plug? I mean, 3-5 it would be a 5-game losing streak, and the momentum certainly is completely not in our favor. But it's not out of the realm of possibility to go on a winning streak of some side. Not that I think that losing today is going to. I do believe that would pretty much give us a very slim chance to make the playoffs at that point. But I can't imagine they're going to start dumping guys just as a result of a loss in the 8th game of a 17-game season.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about just like replacing guys, I mean, obviously Shermer and Bridgewater are probably the 2 people with the hottest seats right now. Like Shermer because he's an idiot, and Bridgewater because he's making mistakes that we weren't expecting him to make. Like, we know that Bridgewater was built for a certain style of offense, which is what we were going for in the offseason. Well, it turns out our defense sucks, and that's not the type of offense we need. So if he keeps playing the way he's played in the last 3 or 4 games, he's not going to make it past the bye.
I don't know how you blame Shermer and Bridgewater at the same time.
It's both. Because we talked about, like, if you're looking at the designed plays, they're good plays. If you're looking at who said that you can just jump in here without even asking.
I did.
Well, no. But if we're looking at like design
plays, he's got his David Bruton jersey on.
If we're looking at like design plays and the scheme, like the scheme and the design plays are good. I have no issues with that. It's when he calls what play. That's what makes it so bad. So Shermer is an idiot because he doesn't know when to call the right play, but Bridgewater is missing open receivers and open routes, and so it's both of their faults.
I actually hate to. I don't hate to, because I actually 100% agree with Glenn. I think you're in a very, very difficult spot when you're blaming both the quarterback and the OC. In one respect, you're saying the play calling is not good, the order of the play calls aren't good, et cetera, and then you're saying, oh, and by the way, this quarterback needs to go. If you're going to change one, I think you change the offensive coordinator so that you get either better play calls at the right times or the right formations at the right time, and then give the quarterback that you decided to go with at the beginning of the season a new fair shake at actually showing that they were the right decision to be, to be the quarterback of your team before you pull the plug. And given at that point there, the season is basically lost if you're at that stage where you're throwing away the OC. So you may as well give that quarterback a fair shot to see, even if you want to bring him back, or even if he's a viable backup for you next year.
Johnny,
I mean, I'm sorry. I disagree. I disagree.
With who?
Well, with Rich on that one.
Ha!
If you're going to make that many changes all at once, I think it's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt us way before it helps us. It needs to be it needs to be a progressive thing. It needs to change here. Give it a little time to give that change a little bit. If you're going to make a change, and then give it a little bit of time to settle, to ruminate a little bit, if you will. And then if another change needs to be made, then once you're not trying to fix everything all at once, because that's too much.
Okay, so then what change would you propose you make if you go on another skid? Because I mean, basically what Glenn and I were effectively saying was, I don't think you change OC and quarterback, and I kind of see that as a bit of a kind of at odds with one another. So if I had to pick one, my one to pick would be changing the offensive coordinator and keeping the existing quarterback that's starting for us, which is Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay. All right. So then, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say that I think I misunderstood what you said, because that's what I was. Yeah.
Well, he is speaking Canadian, so like.
That, yeah, that's true. I'm still in Canadian 1 right now.
And so, you know what the most hilarious thing is? I actually had maple syrup for lunch.
Wow! Did you put it on your lunch, or did you put it on your lunch, or did you drink it right out of the jug?
That's the entree.
Both.
Okay. So anyway, no, I'm sorry that I misunderstood. Absolutely, I would start with the changing of the guard as far as offensive coordinator goes, because everything that's going wrong offensively can be boiled down in the end to play calling. Mm-hmm. And I like what Mike said a few minutes ago about how it's not so much that Shermer doesn't seem to know the right plays to call, it's that he doesn't know when to call them. And that's the biggest problem, is that his plays, a lot of his plays, they would work if you put them in the right spot in the game. And he's just calling. It's not that he's calling bonehead plays. It's that he's calling plays at boneheaded times. So I would make that change first, and then after you've done that and you let it settle a little bit, like back to what I said there, if another change needs to be made from there, then make that change a little further down the road.
You sound like Michael Jackson with all this. I picturing make that change.
You know what?
And the use of the word ruminate. That was pretty good.
Ruminate.
Let it ruminate for a second. No. Anyway, that's my piece. That's my piece. I do have to get ready to go in to work here in a second, but I did just want to pop in for a minute and not hit the end stream. The big red button.
You hit that red button again, and we're not doing a pregame show ever again.
How about Mike? How about Mike removes you?
Done. Done. He's gone.
All right.
That was the Dr. Evil floor opening up, dropping down.
So this is my thing, and this is gonna be my last point on it, because it's kind of the same thing. But it's like, I don't know which one I would want to replace first, because it depends on why we would be replacing him. You know what I mean? Like, if Shermer continues to do the same thing we've seen over the last year and a half, then obviously he needs to go. But Teddy Bridgewater missing open receivers is not a fault of Shermer. That's a fault of Teddy. So even if you replace Shermer, Teddy's still going to be having the same problems not throwing the ball to the open receivers, whether it's a new coordinator or not. So that's where it's like, okay, do you replace one and then just deal with it for another couple weeks, or do you just replace both? Give whatever quarterback is coming in, whatever coordinator is coming in, time for them to start together and figure it out instead of hoping that you're not going to get the same results from Teddy that you are right now. Now, again, I'm still a Teddy supporter. I love Teddy, but he is making mistakes that we didn't expect him to make.
I agree.
Mike's beginning to sound like someone that has. I was going to say he sounds like someone that has a bunch of Drew Lock T-shirts in inventory he needs to move. But
yeah, I got a bunch of Let Him Hate
Go ahead, Rich.
here on my wall.
The one question I have there, though, is what if that throw is something that Teddy is not comfortable with making just due to his skill sets, right? So Teddy is quick pass, typically. That's his preference, at least. And he's shown in some of the longer throws this year that they float a little bit on him and they kind of flutter as they go through. So, and that was almost the exact opposite with Drew, is that Drew almost threw his long passes almost too hard and too much of like a line drive. So I'm not saying either is perfect for what we want in those situations either, but is this not a matter of the play designs themselves and not being called correctly given the people that we have available to us at any given moment? I'll give you an example. You could go 2 tight end sets and then break Fant off as a chip and then catch in a short throw, which would be more Teddy-esque, right? Like he likes those types of passes and those types of throws, simply because in the past, and at least in the last 3 games or so, Judy wasn't available. So we didn't have that quick route runner to get open in the short part of the field. But yet we never saw any of that.
Rich, how about another thing is Shermer calling plays when it's 3rd and 9 that have the receiver at the 6-yard point and expecting them to barrel through to get the first down instead of surpassing that first down line, where a reception alone would give us the first down. I mean, those play calls are absolutely just killing us.
There's like 80% of those I agree with. There was like 1 or 2 where I kind of pushed back a little bit on, where if you have a first round pick and Noah Fant, who went like 15th overall in the draft, and he has 2 yards to go for the first down, and he's going against a 6th round pick on the other team, I personally expect Fant to win that and get those extra yards. So I'm going to push back only slightly on what you said. But overall, I mean, I'm right with you.
But when Rich is talking about the tight ends, is when was the last time we saw a Fant being thrown a pass, in stride? I mean, we look at these other, muscular, athletic tight ends that are just jacked up around the league. They're all catching passes in stride and just barreling down the field, and we have not seen that. And I can't, for the life of me, understand why that hasn't even been seemingly called once.
He doesn't. He's afraid to throw into the middle. That's what it seems like. I'm just.
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
Who, Shermer or Teddy?
Teddy.
No, I don't see that.
No, it's. So I've been listening to a lot of Tim Jenkins because he's a whole lot smarter than I am. And if he was saying that, statistic wise, percentage wise, throwing the ball a couple yards short of the sticks on 3rd down, you actually convert more or a higher percentage of those than you do throwing it past the sticks. For me, it's like, especially in the last game with the Browns, he threw the ball to Fant a couple yards short of the sticks. And you're telling me that a 1st-round tight end that's the size of Noah Fant can't break 1 tackle to get the first down. I don't think it's necessarily a scheme issue. Honestly, it looks like it's a lack of effort issue to me.
Bingo. In that play, I would agree, for sure.
All right. Well, I'm not even exactly sure where to go from here. I mean, we've talked about everything. I've got a couple kids crying because they broke their costumes. My wife's just yelling at me. So we're going to go ahead, and it's almost an hour. Rich has got to go, so we're just going to go. We're going to wait until this Washington game is done. And then we're going to jump on Tuesday with Broncos Talk, and we're going to talk about it. And hopefully it's a win. I think it'll be a win.
I do too. I think 27-23 Broncos.
27-20. Wow, you think that much?
Yeah, I do.
Because I know Washington's defense has allowed 30 points a game? on average?
I believe it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Dave, who do you got?
I got Washington.
Oh, you suck.
I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but I just can't until they prove me wrong. And right now, they're not fun to watch.
All right, Rich, who you got?
Don't ask me. You're not going to like my answer.
Say it anyways.
Washington.
You suck too.
The Hamilton Tiger Cats. What's
the score?
This is Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
What's the final score?
For me, I think the Washington football team wins this by both. I think they win by a field goal, maybe a touchdown. I don't have the exact score because I think it's going to be lower scoring than we think, but I'm not 100% sure.
17-10.
Something like that.
I don't even remember what I said. It was either 20-17 or 17-14 Broncos. So I'm going to say Broncos win by 3, and it's going to be a lower score. Just because I don't trust the offense until I see Jerry Jeudy actually convert some first downs. I don't trust him at all. So we're going to leave it at that. So make sure you're heading over to the YouTube page, the Facebook page. We have an Instagram page too. We got it. Did I say Twitter? Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. That's what we've got. So go over there, follow, like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you go over to the Apple Podcasts. Search for MHRT Network and give us a rating and a review. That would help out a lot. Make sure you're tuning in to Broncos Talk on Tuesday, 7654 with Rich and Adon. Then we've got the MHRT podcast with myself, Glenn, Adon, and Mr. Boggins. And then we got the Nothing Rhymes and Orange Blue podcast on Friday at 7654. And that's with Johnny and Pookie Knight, Mr. Isaiah Henderson. And then we'll be back again as well with another pregame show next week when we face, the Cowboys?
Right. I expect that we're going to be in much better spirits come Tuesday for Broncos Talk. I'm confident.
I hope so.
I should say I hope Glenn's right.
Me too. In the meantime, I'm going to wear my costume of a winning quarterback.
Craig Morton?
He said Craig Morton. All right. So we will Craig Morton. You got me with that one. Go ahead and watch the game, and we will see you guys on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.
Good job.